The script arrived unmarked, no return address, just a plain black envelope slipped under Tom's door at 3 a.m. His first instinct was to toss it. Too many crazies with conspiracy theories and spec scripts that read like fever dreams. But something about the weight of it, the precise folds, the absence of any contact information, made him pause. Coffee steamed on the kitchen counter, lights dimmed to a warm glow as he slid the pages out. The title page was blank, no writer, no studio, just a single line centered at the top. "Do you see the patterns?" Tom's brow furrowed. He flipped to the first scene, eyes scanning. A movie set, actors in motion, a director calling shots. Every line of dialogue seemed off. Ordinary at first glance, but beneath it, numbers were hidden, syllables aligning, words repeating at precise intervals. By the third page, his pulse was spiking. The dialogue was an algorithm, code buried in plain sight. He stood abruptly, chair scraping tile, eyes darting to the windows, shadows stretched long, Los Angeles city lights bleeding through. A chill slid down his spine. His phone buzzed on the counter, no caller ID, just a text. "Stop reading." Tom's breath hitched, fingers tightening on the script. The security cameras hadn't pinged anything unusual. The gates were locked, alarms armed. He moved to the window, fingers parting blinds. Empty street, palm trees swaying in the breeze. He typed back, pulse thundering. "Who is this?" 3 dots blinked, then disappeared. No answer. The script lay open on the table, pages fluttering faintly in the AC. The last scene he'd read was a monologue, an actor staring straight into camera, eyes dark, a smile curling. "We're always watching." Tom swore under his breath, nerves raw. He slid his laptop closer, fingers flying over keys, scripts archived, production logs, security footage from the gate. No deliveries, no visitors. Nothing. A soft chime cut through the silence. Email. Unmarked. Subject line, the eye. He hesitated, then clicked. A video opened, grainy security footage from a film set he didn't recognize. Cameras tracked actors, lenses adjusting, but in the background, shadows shifted, figures moving with purpose, faces obscured. The camera zoomed abruptly, fixing on a symbol half hidden on a director's chair. An eye, black and empty, surrounded by 12 rays. Tom's breath stilled. The same symbol he'd seen years ago, on the set of a movie that never made it to theaters, canceled without explanation, negatives burned. The email refreshed, a single line of text appearing beneath the video. "They're watching. So should you." His fingers trembled as he closed the laptop, eyes flicking to the windows again, street lights casting long shadows, city sprawled dark and endless. The script lay open, words twisting, lines bleeding into one another. "We're always watching." Tom grabbed his jacket, fingers fumbling with keys. Every instinct screamed to run, to call someone, lawyers, agents, anyone. But if they knew he'd seen this, if they were watching. His phone buzzed again, screen cracked but glowing. No ID, just a message. "It's too late." A chill lanced through his veins. And for the first time, Tom realized this wasn't just a warning. It was an invitation. The phone buzzed again, no ID, just a single message. "You're in too deep, Tom." His pulse hammered, eyes flicking to the script sprawled on the table. The title page gleamed white, that same question staring back. "Do you see the patterns?" Tom's fingers trembled as he slid the pages into a drawer, locking it tight. Every instinct screamed to burn the damn thing, but curiosity clawed deeper. The symbols, the hidden codes, they weren't random. They were instructions. He grabbed his jacket, keys cold in his palm. The security system blinked steady green, no alerts. But the shadows outside seemed darker, stretching beneath palm trees, eyes glinting from dark windows. The car roared to life, headlights slashing through the night. He dialed Reynolds, an old contact who'd worked security for half the studios in L.A. The phone rang twice before connecting. "I need a trace," Tom bit out. Unmarked email, black envelope, no sender ID. Silence hung thick. Then Reynolds' voice came low and tense. "Walk away. Now." Tom's grip tightened. "What are you talking about?" "You heard me," Reynolds snapped. "This isn't just some hacker. It's them. Them." Tom's breath hitched. "Who?" Silence again. Then, "The Eye. They run the city. They see everything." The call cut abruptly, screen dark. No redial, no trace. Just silence and the steady pulse of headlights sweeping empty streets. Tom's jaw clenched, nerves raw. He punched the address for a storage unit across town, the place he kept old scripts, backups, anything that didn't fit the narrative. The phone buzzed again, no ID, a single line. They're already there. His breath hitched, eyes darting to the rearview mirror, shadows stretched long, headlights distant but closing. And for the first time, he realized the script wasn't just a warning. It was a trap. The storage unit loomed dark and silent, rain drumming on the metal roof. Tom's pulse hammered as he slid the key into the lock, eyes flicking to the empty lot, no headlights, no shadows moving. He stepped inside, lights flickering dimly. Boxes lined the walls, old scripts, props, tapes from movies that never made it past production. But his eyes fixed on a single crate in the corner, marked 1999. His fingers trembled as he pried it open, pulling out folders stacked with scripts. One lay on top, a project canceled 25 years ago. He flipped it open, breath-catching. The dialogue was ordinary at first, directors, actors, scenes in empty streets. But the footnotes twisted, numbers and symbols bleeding into margins, coordinates buried in innocuous lines. A pattern, hidden in plain sight. A phone buzz cut through the silence. No ID. Screen cracked but glowing. "You're not supposed to see this." Tom swore, nearly dropping the phone. His eyes darted to the door, still locked, rain streaking down. He dialed Reynolds, breath shallow, fingers slick. The call clicked on, but the voice wasn't Reynolds. It was a woman's, smooth, cold. "You should have burned it, Tom," she said softly. "Now it's too late." His blood ran cold. "Who the hell are you?" She chuckled, the sound dark and final. "Just someone who doesn't exist." The line went dead. The lights flickered, shadows stretching longer. Tom's breath hitched, fingers white-knuckled on the script. The last page was blank, except for a symbol etched in black, an eye surrounded by 12 rays. Beneath it, a single line scrawled in red. "We've been watching since the beginning." The door rattled suddenly, locks clicking. Shadows pulled, footsteps soft outside. Tom backed up, heart pounding, eyes darting. His phone buzzed one last time, no ID, just a message. "Run." And for the first time, Tom realized they weren't just watching. They were coming. The door shuttered, locks clicking ominously. Tom's pulse spiked, eyes darting to the dark corners of the storage unit. Shadows pooled beneath shelves, rain slashing against metal walls. His phone buzzed again, no ID, just a single word. "Run." He bolted, boots scraping on concrete, fingers fumbling with keys. The door flew open, rain searing cold, headlights slicing through dark. His car was parked at the edge of the lot, engine still warm, headlights dim. But something felt off. Too quiet. Too empty. Tom slid behind the wheel, breath hitching, doors locking with a dull thud. The engine roared to life, tires squealing against wet asphalt. His eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. No cars, no headlights, just empty streets stretching dark and endless. But the dashboard screen glitched suddenly, static bleeding through speakers, a low hum that crawled under his skin. The GPS flickered, map shifting without command. An address blinked in red, Hollywood Hills, 813, East Drive. Tom's jaw clenched. He hadn't typed that. His hands were white-knuckled on the wheel, but the car veered on its own, tires biting slick roads, every turn precise and deliberate. The screen glowed, a message scrolled slow and final. "They'll kill you if you stop." He swore under his breath, knuckles white, eyes fixed on the road. The city sprawled dark, billboards glinting, rain-streaking neon signs. The GPS beeped again, voice smooth and cold. Arriving at destination. The house loomed against the storm, gates yawning open, lights glinting faintly behind ivy-choked walls. No cars, no guards, just shadows stretching. The dashboard flickered, a single line bleeding through static. Inside. Now. Tom's breath was shallow, pulse raw. He slid out, rain biting, jacket pulled tight. The gates creaked, hinges groaning, shadows twisting beneath dead trees. He hesitated, breath fogging, fingers twitching for his phone. But the screen stayed dark, no signal, no messages, just the empty lot behind him, and the house sprawled dark and silent. Steps echoed as he moved forward, boots scraping marble. The door was ajar, hall stretching dimly lit, portraits lining walls, eyes dark and unblinking. One face stopped him cold, his own, younger, eyes shaded, a script clutched in hand. A whisper slithered through speakers, soft and venomous. "You were always part of the story." Tom's blood ran cold. His fingers trembled on the doorknob, breath shallow. The screen on the wall flickered, security feeds, hallways dark and empty, rooms filled with old film reels, tapes labeled in black ink, Project I. His phone buzzed, Screen cracked but glowing, no ID, a single line. "Welcome home, Tom." And for the first time, he realized he wasn't walking into a trap. He'd never left it. The door creaked shut behind him, locks clicking with a dull finality. Tom's pulse hammered, eyes darting over portraits that lined the hall, faces half-shadowed, eyes dark and knowing. The security feeds flickered, grainy footage showing empty rooms, shadows twisting just out of sight. His phone buzzed, no ID, just a single line. "The truth is in the basement." Tom's jaw clenched. Every instinct screamed to turn back, to run, but curiosity bit deeper. The house stretched dark and silent, air heavy and stale. His fingers brushed a light switch, nothing. Power was dead. Steps echoed hollow as he moved forward, eyes darting. The walls were lined with film posters, classic thrillers, blockbusters he'd starred in, all with subtle differences. Faces blurred, symbols etched in corners, an eye, black and empty, rays stretching outward. A door loomed at the end of the hall, half hidden behind curtains, hinges rusted. Tom hesitated, breath shallow. The phone buzzed again, screen cracked but glowing. "You need to see." His fingers were slick as he pushed the door open. Stairs spiraled into darkness, air colder with each step. The lights buzzed faintly, emergency bulbs casting eerie shadows. At the bottom, a long corridor stretched, walls concrete and bare. He moved slowly, fingers trailing cold stone. Doors lined the walls, numbers etched in brass, rooms 101 to 112. Each door was locked tight, but one stood slightly ajar, room 108. Tom's breath caught, eyes narrowing. He nudged the door open, heart pounding. Monitors glowed dimly, desks stacked with tapes and files. The walls were plastered with film stills, scenes from movies he'd starred in, but altered. Faces twisted, eyes dark and hollow, symbols hidden in shadows. A projector whirred softly, casting a flickering reel on the wall. Footage played, behind-the-scenes shots from a movie he didn't remember filming. Directors whispering, cameras focusing not on actors but on him, every step, every glance. And there, half hidden by reels, a black folder marked Project I, Subject 17. His breath stilled. Fingers trembling, he flipped it open. Surveillance photos, transcripts, files marked classified. Pages bled with his name, dates spanning decades, contracts he'd never signed. A message was scrawled on the last page, ink smeared but legible. "You're not the star, Tom. You're the experiment." The lights buzzed louder, shadows stretching. His phone buzzed, screen cracked, a single line bleeding through. "Now you know." Tom's breath hitched, eyes wide. His reflection in the dark monitor stared back, eyes shadowed, face pale. And for the briefest moment, it smirked. The door behind him slammed shut, locks clicking. And in the darkness, speakers crackled softly, a whisper threading venomous. "We've been watching since the beginning." The door's slam echoed, metal locks clicking one by one. Tom's pulse hammered, eyes darting to the security feeds. Every screen bled static, shadows shifting behind cracked glass. The projector flickered, casting that same line over and over. "You're not the star, Tom. You're the experiment." His breath was shallow, fingers white-knuckled on the folder. Surveillance photos, classified files, dates spanning decades. Every major movie, every interview. Each one connected by a single symbol, an eye surrounded by 12 rays. His phone buzzed, no ID, just a single message. "The script was never yours." A chill slithered down his spine. The emergency lights buzzed, shadows twisting along walls. Tom's fingers flew over the monitor keys, commands denied, passwords rejected. The cameras showed empty halls, but the audio crackled, whispers layered, soft and venomous. One feed glitched, zooming in, a door at the end of the hall, metal, half open. Red light pulsed faintly from inside, casting shadows that moved without cause. The folder slipped from his hands, pages scattering. One photo slid free, half hidden beneath the desk, black and white, grainy, a boardroom full of shadowed figures. In the center stood a man, face blurred, but the caption was clear, the director. Tom's jaw clenched, nerves raw. The phone buzzed again, no ID, a single line. "The director wants to see you." His fingers trembled as he pushed the door open, lights flickering dimly. The corridor stretched dark, walls lined with tapes and reels labeled in red ink. Project I, Subject 17. Incident Report 1999. Re-education Protocols. A projector whirred softly, casting clips against the far wall, scenes from his movies, but altered. Lines of dialogue twisted, symbols hidden in shadows, faces dark and hollow. The words weren't just script, they were codes, commands woven into dialogue, into every frame. Tom stumbled back, breath hitched. His eyes fixed on a single tape, marked the beginning spooled in a player, ready to run. The phone buzzed again, no ID, the same taunting message. Play it. His fingers hesitated, pulse roaring in his ears. But curiosity clawed deeper, raw and unrelenting. He pressed play. The screen flared, static bleeding into black. Footage rolled, behind the scenes from a movie he'd never filmed, a younger version of himself on set, eyes wary. Directors in dark suits, whispering, glances darting to cameras hidden behind props. The audio crackled, voices layered. Does he suspect? Not yet. Increase exposure, make him believe it's real. Tom's breath caught. His reflection stared back from the black monitor, eyes dark, face pale, almost smirking. A whisper slid through speakers, smooth and final. You've been in our movie since the beginning. The lights buzzed, projector flared, and the screen bled a single line. Welcome to the final act, Tom. And for the first time, Tom realized the truth. He wasn't uncovering the conspiracy. He'd been living it. The screen went dark, projector whirring to a halt. Tom's breath was shallow, fingers slick on the edge of the desk. The lights buzzed faintly, shadows thickening in the corners. His phone buzzed, no ID, a single message. The truth is in the archive. His eyes darted to the tapes lining the shelves, labels scrawled in red, Project I, Subject 17, Control Protocols. Each tape was dated, years spanning back to his first movie, scripts he hadn't touched in decades. One tape caught his eye, revelation. No date, no label, just a symbol, the eye, black and empty, rays stretching outward. His fingers trembled as he slotted it into the player. The screen flared, static bleeding into grainy footage. A room stretched dark, boardroom lights dimmed, faces shadowed. A man at the head of the table, face obscured, voice smooth and final. The subjects must not remember. The camera panned, zooming in on a file, Subject 17, Thomas Cruise Maypother 4. Tom's blood ran cold. His fingers clenched, nails digging into the wood. The audio crackled, another voice cut in tense, hurried. If he wakes up, the protocols fail. We can't risk it. The man's voice came dark and final. Then make him believe. Give him a story. The screen bled to black, a single line scrolling slow and deliberate. End scene. Tom stumbled back, breath hitched, eyes darting to the door, still locked, shadows pooling. His phone buzzed, no ID, just a single line. Time to wake up, Tom. He yanked the tape free, hands trembling, pulse roaring. The tapes on the shelves seemed to stretch, labels blurring, the illusion, control, the awakening. Every movie he'd ever made was there, altered and rewritten. A whisper slithered through speakers, soft and venomous. You were never the hero, just the puppet. The projector flared suddenly, casting another reel, footage of him in interviews, on set, every smile forced, eyes glassy. Voices whispered beneath the audio, commands layered and insidious. Follow the script. Trust no one. Remember nothing. Tom's hands trembled, breath raw. The screen glitched, a new message scrolled in crimson. The director is waiting. The door lock clicked open with a soft hiss. Tom's breath was shallow, eyes flicking to the darkness stretching beyond. Every instinct screamed to run, to destroy the tapes, to burn this place to the ground. But the phone buzzed again, no ID, a single line. You can't escape the script. And for the first time, he realized he wasn't finding clues. He was following them. The hallway stretched dark and silent, shadows pooling beneath flickering lights. Tom's pulse hammered, fingers tight on the phone. The door behind him hung open, locks cracked. His eyes darted to the end of the corridor, another door loomed, red light pulsing faintly beneath. His phone buzzed, no ID, just a single line. Keep going. Tom's breath hitched, jaw clenched. The projector's hum faded, but the whispers didn't stop, soft and layered, seeping through speakers. Trust no one. Follow the script. His steps echoed, boots scraping cold concrete. The walls were lined with posters, his movies, but altered. Titles twisted, faces shadowed, the same symbol hidden in every frame. The eye, black and empty, 12 rays stretching outward. He stopped short at a door marked Control Room, metal, hinges rusted. His fingers trembled as he pushed it open. Monitors lined the walls, feeds from security cameras spanning years, backstage at premieres, hotel rooms, film sets. Every move tracked, every word recorded. And in the center, a console blinked, one screen larger than the rest, labeled Subject 17, Progress Report. Tom's heart pounded, breath shallow. Files scrolled on the main monitor, dates, transcripts, scenes from movies he didn't remember filming. A video clip blinked open, audio crackling, him on set, eyes dark, lines slurred. A voice cut through the static, smooth, cold, one he'd heard in every nightmare since this started. He's starting to remember. Increased dosage. Tom stumbled back, breath catching. Monitors glitched, a new feed blinked open, an interview from years ago. But the audio was wrong, voices layered beneath, whispering commands, forget, smile, read the script. His fingers flew over keys, eyes darting, files opened, reports from decades past, memory alteration protocols, subject conditioning, script compliance. Every movie, every scene, a line of code to keep him blind. The phone buzzed, screen cracked but glowing, no ID, a single line. The director is waiting. A door clicked open at the far end of the room, red light spilling out. Tom's breath was raw, eyes wide. He took a step forward, then another, shadows stretched deeper, whispers curling from the dark. The room beyond was vast, walls draped in red, a single chair bolted to the floor. Spotlights glared down, cameras fixed and waiting. In the center stood a man in a dark suit, face obscured, hands clasped behind his back. Tom froze, breath shallow. "Who the hell are you?" he rasped. The man's head tilted, a smile curling faintly. "The director," he said smoothly. "And you, Tom, are my masterpiece." The door slammed shut, locks clicking. Monitors flared, security feeds blinking, hallways empty, every exit sealed. The cameras swiveled, lenses glinting, and the whispers grew louder, a script scrolling slow and deliberate. Act 3, The Revelation. Tom's hands trembled, eyes darting. His phone buzzed one last time, no ID, just a single line. "Welcome to the final scene." And for the first time, he realized the truth. There was never a way out. The door's slam echoed, locks clicking with brutal finality. Tom's pulse hammered, eyes fixed on the man in the suit, the director, standing at the center of the room. Red light pulsed faintly, shadows stretching long and dark. Cameras loomed from every corner, lenses glinting coldly. The director's smile was smooth, eyes dark and unblinking. "You've played your part well, Tom," he said softly, almost convincing. Tom's fist clenched, breath shallow. "What the hell is this?" he snapped. "Who are you?" The director chuckled, fingers tracing a line along a control panel. The monitors flared, footage rolling, scenes from Tom's movies, interviews, even moments from his life no camera should have seen. Each frame glitched with hidden symbols, dialogue twisted into commands. Forget. Obey. Follow the script. The phone buzzed, no ID, just a single line. "It's not a movie, Tom." It never was. A chill lanced down his spine. His eyes darted to the screens, footage spliced with security feeds, boardrooms, shadowed figures, files marked Project I. Dates stretched back decades, contracts he'd never signed. The director moved closer, steps slow and deliberate. "You were chosen," he murmured. "Groomed from the start. Every line you've spoken, every scene you've shot, pieces of the script." Tom's jaw clenched. "That's insane." The director's eyes glinted coldly. "Is it? Why do you think every door opened for you? Every scandal disappeared? You're not an actor, Tom. You're the prototype." Monitors glitched. A new feed blinked open. Security footage from a darkened room. A man strapped to a chair, eyes glassy. Tom's breath caught, fingers trembling. The man looked just like him, same eyes, same face, but hollow. The director's smile widened. "We've done this before," he said smoothly. "Dozens of times. You're not special, Tom. You're just the best." Tom stumbled back, pulse roaring. His reflection stared back from dark glass, eyes shadowed, face pale, almost smirking. The phone buzzed again, no ID, a single line. "You can't escape the script." The countdown flared on the main screen, red digits spinning faster, 10 minutes and 23 seconds. Tom's eyes narrowed. What happens when it hits 0? The director chuckled darkly. "The truth. Unedited." The monitors flickered. Footage bled crimson, files marked, memory protocols, conditioning logs, subject 17, termination. Date stretched to the present day. Every line of dialogue, every action, pre-written. The phone buzzed one last time, no ID, just a single line. "It's time to wake up, Tom." The lights flared, alarms wailed, and the countdown spun faster, 5 minutes and 42 seconds, digits bleeding crimson. And for the first time, Tom realized the truth. He hadn't been uncovering a conspiracy. He was the conspiracy. The countdown ticked relentless, 5 minutes and 28 seconds, red digits bleeding crimson, shadows stretching long. Tom's breath was shallow, eyes fixed on the director's cold smile, monitors flickering with security feeds and twisted scenes from his life. "You've been lying to me," Tom snapped, fist clenched. "Every scene, every interview? Why?" The director's eyes glinted darkly. "Because a story needs a hero," he said smoothly. "And you play the part so well." The monitors glitched, a new feed blinked open, Tom's own face, younger, eyes hollow, strapped to a chair. Doctors in dark suits, syringes gleaming, voices whispering commands. "Forget. Obey. Follow the script." His pulse spiked, breath catching. "This is insane," he rasped. This. None of it's real." The director chuckled, fingers tracing lines along the console. "Reality is what we say it is, Tom," he murmured. "Hollywood's been ours for decades. Every film, every scandal, pieces of a larger script. You were just the star." The phone buzzed, no ID, just a single line. Insane. Tom's jaw clenched, eyes darting to the countdown. 3 minutes and 12 seconds, spinning faster. The emergency lights buzzed, alarms wailing, shadows pooling. His fingers flew over the console, breath raw, commands rejected, passwords denied. Every screen flashed the same symbol, an eye, black and empty, rays stretching outward. The director's smile widened. "You can't rewrite the ending," he said softly. "It's already filmed." The monitors flared, footage spliced and bleeding. Scenes from movies that never made it to theaters, scripts twisted, faces blurred. Symbols glinted in every frame, messages buried in dialogue codes, orders, secrets. His phone buzzed again, screen cracked but glowing, a single line. "You can't escape the script." The lights dimmed, projector whirred softly. A new video flickered to life, Tom on a dark set, eyes glassy, a camera fixed on his face. His own voice echoed back, hollow and dead. "I accept the script." His blood ran cold. "No," he choked, steps faltering. "That's not, I never." The director's smile was cruel. "Everyone did, in the end," he whispered. "The script is the only way out." The countdown bled faster, 1 minute and 47 seconds, digits flashing crimson. The walls seemed to press in, whispers layering, speakers crackling with a single command. "Obey." Tom's breath was raw, eyes wild. The console glitched, buttons dead. The monitors showed exits sealed, corridors dark, shadows shifting. The phone buzzed one last time, no ID, a single line. "Wake up." The countdown hit 1 second, lights flared, alarms died, and the screens went black. Silence crushed in, heavy and raw. Then the lights buzzed back, monitors bleeding white, a single line scrolled slow and final. "Welcome to the real world, Tom." And in the glass, his reflection stared back, eyes dark and unblinking, a smirk curling. For the first time, Tom realized there was never a way out. The camera's red light blinked, recording, and the whispers came soft and final. "Cut."